Break. It's a podcast for moms who don't have it all together and need a break, because that's how we are, okay? What's up? I'm Megan Thomas at Meg Scoop everywhere.
And I'm Marisa Johnson, and she is Marisa J. And make sure to follow our podcast at MNAB Podcasts and follow our website at mnabpodcast.com. Make sure to subscribe to our Patreon, help us out, support us. We're always putting up content every week. So yeah, check us out.
Check us out, because it's hard out here for some mamas, all right? It's been busy. So you guys, we got a great show today. You see this lovely lady who is with us. Beautiful, okay? She is, I gotta do her intro correctly. She's a wife. She's a girl mom of 3. She's a homeschooler, an author, the founder of the Beautiful Me campaign, co-founder of Moms in Color. Y'all give it up for Miss Ashley Chea. What's up? What's up, Ashley? Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's you guys are quarantined out. And well, no problem, girl. You got 3 babies at the house. So the fact that we can get you for a moment, we're so grateful. Ashley, so real quick, tell me let's talk about your book really quick, because I know you were just talking about this. You have a book coming out. Let's just tell everybody what it is so they can order it while they're watching or listening to this.
Okay. So I already have a children's book. I released it 4 years ago called Beautiful, Beautiful Me. And then I re-released it, I think it was in January, February, I can't remember. And then it just sold out like in 2 weeks. It just sold out. And so now it's on pre-order, but it'll be back. Like you can order it now and it'll be shipping at the end of July, early August. So everyone who buys their book now will just get it at the end of the month, early next month. But yeah, it's my baby. I wrote it when my daughter was just struggling with trying to accept her skin color, because our family is multicultural and she's lighter than me. She wanted to look dark, and I tried to find books that really celebrated like all children, and there weren't any. So I just made one, and it's been dope ever since. Yeah, so I love it. I love the book. It grows with our family, and it's amazing that it just sold out again. It's still like it's in high demand. But I'm actually coming out with my second book, Beautiful Family. And then I have a journal coming out. It's a prompted journal. It's a forever journal. It's in honor of my sister who passed away. And it's just a journal for parents to kind of like keep their story. And then you would ideally like pass it on to your child when they turn 18. Yeah.
Okay, so we got to get into all of that.
Yeah, that's how you make money in your sleep, guys. That's how you make money in your sleep.
Yes.
She woke up and it was sold out.
Yes, literally.
Oh my gosh,
that is amazing. But before we get into all of these amazing topics, this segment of our show is called Ain't No Shame, our mommy confession time, where we don't judge. We just let it out. Usually they're funny, they're lighthearted. But today, I just had this epiphany. It's admitting your parenting skills or a lack of parenting skills.
Lord, what you do?
No, so I've been on maternity leave for God knows how long. I don't even know at this point. The days are all mushed together.
Right, we're all
right. So I had to make an appointment with a psychologist or a therapist to basically tell me if I could go back to work, if I was sane, because I dealt with postpartum for my first child.
Okay.
So I get on the phone and I'm thinking like, I'm just going to skim through this. I've already done this before. I don't need to talk to them, blah, blah, blah. But I get on the phone and they're asking me these questions and I'm like, wait a minute. I need to, wait, this is me again. And, it was a moment where it was like, I can't be shameful of the things that I'm not doing. I need to address it so that I can like hear some constructive feedback. So basically what I found out was because of the way I was kind of parented, it was like harsh and loud and yelling and all this, normal minority family home back in the day. I'm scared to go down that road, so I don't do anything at all, basically, with my almost 3-year-old. And so when I yell at her, like I feel bad, I start crying, or like I'll just watch her do things, and like there's no boundaries, basically, is what the therapist told me. There's nothing to where she can self-regulate herself because I'm not telling her like no at all. And it's me. It's because of the way I was raised and me thinking that if I go too hard on her, or if then she'll grow up with some complex, or she'll hate me, or I'll be a bad mom, So it was just a moment where it was like, I can't be shameful of like where I came from or how I'm doing things. I just need to be honest so that I can grow and I can learn and I can like seek some advice.
Right.
And I thought that was important to share, because usually we do like little funny things, but that was a real moment yesterday. It was like, oh, I have to admit this and not be shameful of this.
No, I think that's really beautiful. Mostly because I feel like, our generation, we are being very conscious and we're consciously parenting. So we're extremely aware of past traumas and behaviors from our parents or grandparents that were unhealthy, that we don't want to continue. But just like you said, a lot of us don't have the tools to change it. We just know, like, I don't want to be like
right,
but how to change my behavior. So I think it's dope that you see a therapist and that you're acknowledging that, because I had to do the same thing, like the exact same thing with my daughter. But I learned that love is boundaries. Love is discipline, and discipline is not negative. It's just because we have been trained to think that discipline is aggression and cussing and all of these other things. Like, it's not negative. Like, being disciplined is a very beautiful thing, and it helps you be productive in life. So it's just learning how to associate what these words really mean and what it really is in a healthy way as a parent.
Yeah, I mean, the doctor was even saying, she was like, she's lucky. They're lucky to have you as a mom because you're self-aware, Marisa. And I just broke down crying, like, what?
I know, Marisa, you're such a good mom. When I see you, like, Halo, super smart. You're like, so you have all your stuff together. Like, you're showing them what a beautiful, successful Black woman looks like how she moves, what she does. So, like, every time you say stuff like that, I'm like, Marisa, you're a great mom. Can you be my mom?
It's a self thing, It's more of like, of like how I'm, like she said, thinking that discipline, like associating it with something negative versus a positive. And I have to like switch my brain to think that way, with the girls. And they're girls, so.
Right.
A lot.
Ashley, do you have any shameful parenting moments?
Every day. No, I'm kidding.
Hey.
Same, girl, same.
No, I think, for me, I'm against whipping your children. I don't believe in that. And I feel like I'm just a hot-tempered individual. Do you know what I mean? So it's really like hard. It's not hard for me not to hit my kids, but I think that having a 3-year-old and 2-year-old is really hard. Like, when you have one child, you literally can be the best mom ever. That's why I always tell people, like, no, you don't know what kind of mom you are until you have a second child. Okay.
Right.
That's the real test. And so now I think that a lot of things about myself that I thought that I had changed or worked on, they're coming out, like I'm like, oh, I probably need to go back to therapy, and I still need to work on my patience level, because my 3-year-old, she is such a dynamic individual. Like, I love her energy. She's really intelligent. She's really smart. And she really tries really hard to like, test people. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Push the boundaries.
She's going to be a leader. Like, I recognize the behavior in her, because I was the same way. And when I was growing up, everyone would just be like, oh, you're, being disrespectful or blah, blah, because I question things, right?
Everything.
But that's because I'm smart. That's why I've been knowing stuff. Because I research, I don't just believe in anything anybody tells me. But the other day, she just questioned me one too many times. And like, I feel like I grabbed her hand because I kept asking her to stop hitting her little sister, and she wouldn't. And I am so good at being patient and pulling her away and being gentle. But when I grabbed her hand, I knew I grabbed it too hard. You know what I mean? Like, and I instantly felt like, I wanted to cry. You know what I mean? Because the way she looked at me, like I was like I beat her, like we used to get.
This is exactly what I'm going through. This is exactly what
But I apologize. I honestly did. Like, I did it in the moment because I felt bad, but I really didn't feel bad because I low-key wanted her to be scared. Like, how tight that grip was.
Right.
But later on, she was playing, and I told her, I was like, Azara, come here. And I was like, you know, when mommy grabbed your arm, that was not okay. And I said, you know, people that love you are never supposed to hurt you physically, never supposed to harm you. That's not what love is. I mean, she's 3 and she's looking at me like, girl, what did you talk about? I forgot about that. But
Right.
I still wanted her to understand that it wasn't okay. Like, and that's the thing is, as a parent, I consistently apologize to my children if I do something inappropriate or wrong, because I feel like that all plays into the type of friends we pick and the type of partners we pick, the things that we associate as children with what love is, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted her to be clear that she was like, it's okay, mommy. And I was like, no, it's not. It's not okay. And it's not okay that I did that, and I need to apologize, and I would never do it again. So
no, that's good. That's, you know what?
That's
So
good.
big that you say that. I think especially for like being Black moms, like I don't know of any of my friends that grew up with their parents apologizing to them for stuff. You know what I mean? It was kind of like the do what I say, not as I do. And if you do it, you're going to get beat, like you get popped or something. And, you know, just being a parent now and doing things differently, you know, my son's almost 2. And so he does, I understand with these toddlers, he be trying me daily. But like, I don't, and sometimes I'd be like, what else can I do? 'Cause I'm about to beat you. I'm out to beat you, but I don't want to because it's not okay, and I don't want to be that kind of parent. But like, you know, I've started to apologize for stuff. Like if I yelled or if like, I'm sorry, mommy apologizes. I apologize to you. You know, I want him to understand like you're not showing a sign of weakness when you apologize. If you messed up, you own up to it. You know, and I don't have a problem doing that to my son who is 2 and don't even understand what I'm saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? But he's still a person.
They understand.
Right. And
especially because you have a boy, that's so beautiful that you do that, because you're really making him understand, number one, communication, addressing issues, and you're acknowledging his feelings. And that's something a lot of males don't get the opportunity to have, is, you know, their feelings be acknowledged as children. That's why they grow up hyper aggressive and then take that shit out on us.
No, for real.
Okay, we're having an arranged marriage. Yay.
Oh yeah, I'm all for it now, girl. He's out here. He be cooking and cleaning already, girl.
Oh, he does cook. Oh, you got to check him out. You got to check out his IG.
Sorry, Marisa.
Oh no, I got my best friend owns a restaurant, so they already claimed each other.
Okay. All right.
She's gonna help out.
Have too many to pick
She's gonna do the marketing and stuff for them and help out with
that's fine.
You know,
as long as you don't try to take my daughter's husband, we good.
No, but I like what you said, because
one of the things that, like, I was gonna say too, just to your point, actually, how it's so important, especially for men, especially our Black men. We don't ever, you know, I have dated so many men and been around so many men who are, you can tell how they were not allowed to express their feelings, because when you ask them a simple question of like, well, what do you mean? They can't even answer you. So I realize that comes from like childhood. I don't want my son to be so emotionally stunted that he is angry and he cannot explain why. He has no understanding of why he has his feeling. And I think one of the things that causes that for boys is when they cry and you say, stop crying. Well, here's the thing, when you're crying, you have an emotion. So if I'm going to tell you to stop crying, then I also need to tell you how to get that emotion out. Like, what else can you do? Because if you don't, it turns into violence, right? So we have a lot of men who just fight or who do violent things because nobody told them how to express. So I'm very cognizant now when he's crying, I don't tell him to stop crying. And if I do say, hey, you know, or if he's just whining, I'll tell him to stop whining. But if he's crying, I'll let him cry. And then I always say to him, use your words. What's wrong? Use your words. And I can't really understand some of the stuff he says, but he'll be like, I'm like, yes. Get it out.
I think it's great how you said, and I'm finding this with she's almost 3. She's just like me. I can see so many traits and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is me. But like you said, as a kid, it was stop being nosy. Get out of my business. Stop acting like you're grown. You're talking too much, you know, and everything that I got in trouble about is what has made me successful. So like when I look at her, it's like, oh my goodness, I can't suppress that, you know. She's always talking. She started repeating me this week, everything I said, and I used to do that same thing. It's like, shut up. And I was just looking at her like, okay. I see you, girl. Like she remembers everything I say.
That's so good.
Like she like tries me. Well, mommy, you said this. Well, mommy, you said I can have this. I went pee-pee. So where's my candy? Like I was just like, damn, you remembered? But it's me.
Right.
It's me. And I think that frustrates a lot of parents when they see that.
Oh yeah, because children hold you accountable. And that's the thing, like I feel like this is what I learned with my oldest daughter. There are always moments, and this is in a relationship and being a parent, where you can choose, do I want to grow in this moment or do I want to be right? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I became the type of mom that I am because I chose to grow in those moments. When my daughter would correct me, like you're telling them, don't say shut up or don't da-da-da. Then they hear you on the phone talking to your friends. You're like, girl, shut up, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, you said don't say shut up. You don't say, oh, well, I can say that. You just say, you know what, you're right. I shouldn't have said that. Like, and then because you become more conscious though, just as an individual of what you're saying. How am I emoting? How am I expressing my joy and my laughter with my friends? And could I be better at this? Like I always say, you shouldn't have to own anything. Meaning like people that are like, oh, I'm afraid of heights. Okay, that's fine. But let's try to address that. Like don't just assign things to yourself for the rest of your life and never try to grow out of it or become a better person or challenge yourself to be better. And that's what your children and a good spouse will do. They will challenge you to be your best you but you got to be open to change now.
You got to. And it hurts. It hurts.
It does. Because here you are thinking you like halfway have it together and then you realize, oh, wait a minute. I never did. Okay.
All right. I was perfect. No, I'm lying. Okay.
And then you have this little toddler telling you, showing you just how
you really are.
Like, oh, my bad. Okay. Well, let's get into some mommy tips. Because we've been in this quarantine, so it's been like, there's some good days, some harder days, challenging days. And with a toddler in the house, I'm always trying to find like different projects or stuff that I could do with him that'll keep him busy, keep his mind going. So one of the things I found is really inexpensive, y'all, and I actually love this. And you can do it with your 11-year-old, Ashley. Like it's just a fun little project. So it's what is it called? It's called moon sand or cloud dough.
Sounds dirty and messy.
Okay, so yes, it's an outdoor activity, or it's I'm just not to clean this up activity. You got to get that in your mind, moms.
Those are my favorite activities, but continue.
Right. I just do it outside because that way it's like, okay, it's, and if it rains, it'll just wash it, like it's gone. Yeah. So you take, it's just flour and oil, y'all. That's literally it. So it's super cheap because most of us have that in our houses already. So you take, I think it's 8 cups of flour to like 1 cup of oil, or you can adjust it. I did half that, but if you have like 2 or more kids, you can just keep that ratio. Okay. But yeah, you just mix it together and then it makes sand, but like sand that'll like,
you can mold.
Yeah, it's like moldable sand. So it's so much better. And I mean, it's technically edible. So if they wanted to get a little crazy technique, I mean, it's not gonna hurt them. So I just make sure I use, instead of like baby oil or something like that, I just use like a vegetable oil or like a olive oil. But y'all, Maverick was playing in this thing like he was at the beach. Okay, he was just and then he put it in his hair, and I was like, ugh.
That's why I said it sounds messy.
That's why I said do it outside, do it like right before bath time or something. So like.
I'm trying to, honestly, because at this point, like I'm such an OCD mom, I really try to avoid anything messy. But I've realized, because my mom is like Mrs. Frizzle from the Magic School Bus, she's super happy and she does all the fun things. She's like the best grandma, makes me feel like such a shitty ass mom.
Hey, yeah.
I didn't do that.
Kids be coming back clean.
Yeah.
Like, dang.
Listen, I used to send my kids clothes and they ugly, but you just gotta be grateful, because why would you? So I just send my kids to my mom's house in the ugly clothes because I'm like, I don't care about them.
Right.
They're gonna come back a whole different person.
Honey, they were like bathed in mud with her, but they have the best childhood. But now I'm becoming more, that's what happens when you have more kids. I'm like, let me just relax and let these kids get dirty. There's always a shower.
You know what the therapist said yesterday? She was like, what aggravates you? I'm like, because I had this thing, we moved into our house. It was like, I'm gonna make my house exactly how I want it. I don't care if it's not kid proof. Like, they're gonna learn how to leave my stuff alone. And my white couch is just Now that she's home all day, yes, I do.
Girl, and when she got that, I told her as soon as she got that couch and I walked in her house, I was like, Marisa, why do you have a white?
But she was at daycare all day, so it
but
really was.
A 2-year-old about to have another baby.
It was fine. Trust me, it was fine until
it was never fine for him.
That I know. You thought it was fine. You thought it was fine.
She was, well, see, maybe this is common sense. This is why you need to talk to other people.
Yeah.
Because she was like, what aggravates you? And I'm like, well, I bought these new cushions and I'm always telling her to get off the couch and She's like, okay, Marisa, well, maybe you should like make the house more child friendly so that just take away the things for now that, you know, you keep reminding her to stop doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you won't be aggravated.
There you
go. Have to tell her.
Do you have OCD?
I don't like germs. I wash my hands a lot.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know.
She definitely has a touch of it, I would say.
I have it. That's why I'm like a recovering, I don't know what you call it. I'm not recovering, I'm lying. But I have it. It's getting better. But I was like that. Honestly, like I didn't babysit my house and I was like, no. And it, let me tell you though, that's why I should tell you, if you just stick with one child, sometimes it works. Because my oldest, she didn't touch anything. My second child, you know, I never had to put nothing away. I told her one time. And she never touched anything. She just has a mouth on her. But as far as like touching stuff, my baby, we call her the undoer. I swear to God, she just walks past shit and just like knocks it over for fun. Like her sister will build a Lego thing. She knocks it down. She pulls everything. Like she broke so many things that were sitting on my bookshelf for 10 years. 10 years.
See.
She's on this earth for 1 year and it's broke. And that's when I said, I'm not going to beat my child and I'm not going to hate her. I'm going to put this shit away until she learns how to act. Because otherwise you will go crazy. Because I was like going behind her like, just stop touching everything, stop.
Yes, this is me.
Yeah, girl.
This is me.
Put it away.
I made a list. I'll share it on another episode of what I plan on doing, but I made a list. I made a list last night of everything I need to change in the house so that because we're home. So I don't want her to feel like she can't do anything in the house. Right. So I need to make the house more.
Oh, Marisa, you got to get a whole nother couch, huh?
No, I'm not getting a whole nother couch.
Put a cover on it. Put one of them old school rose pattern covers on.
I was like, Terrell, so am I supposed to get plastic on it?
Oh my God. Okay.
That's why our grandmothers had plastic on them couches.
Yes, because those little dirty grandkids.
Right. But yeah, so no, y'all are so funny because my fiance is like that. He is the OCD one. He's like, you let Mav just eat his food with his hands. And I'm like, yes, because it's sensory play as well as nourishment. Like I'm just, I don't know, I guess I am the Mrs. Frizzle mom. Like I'll let him do whatever, as long as he's safe, you know. Yeah. Then when he starts to jump off the high stuff, I'm like, okay, bring it on back, brother. But other than that, like, I don't know. I feel like kids learn with mess. They learn, they touch, they grab.
Such a good mom.
I kind of just let him play, whatever.
Look, I said, I'm going to get there.
Right. Like,
I told y'all something. Y'all would, this is only a secret amongst me and my friends, but I'll just share it with you. The world can know. I don't give a damn. I actually... Every time I say this out loud, I feel like someone is going to come and take my children away from me.
Oh, girl, join the club.
That's how we feel every week.
You're amongst friends.
I don't like mess so much that I actually feed my kids until they're 2, until they are like capable of picking up the fork on their own without making a mess. I know.
I was feeding the baby. Oh my goodness. I was like scraping her mouth, like making sure it all got in her mouth. This is me. This is me. Oh,
and my friends would be like, yo, she's tying her shoes. I'm like, nah, homie.
Not yet. She's not ready yet.
Not until to there. Get ready yet.
Because it says, like, let them explore, let them, feel the foods in their hands. And I was like, ugh, what?
Oh, my gosh. Y'all are so, like, I literally let Mav do that. And you guys remind me. I just see my fiance's face every single time. He just be like, ugh. In his hands and his face, and I'm like, he's learning. He's getting
tell him we feel his pain.
Let them babies eat nasty, y'all. Eat messy.
You're right. We're wrong.
Why not? Why not? It's just a wet wipe, you know. It's just a wet wipe. Okay, so let's talk about you, Ashley. First of all, your family is super cute, and I'm still trying to remember where I've seen y'all. It's gonna come to me one of these months. I've seen y'all somewhere. But your husband is Cambodian white. You said you're Puerto Rican and Black, right? So you've got all of these different heritages. I think I read one of your blogs and you said something about like in your head when you thought about your husband, it was a Black man who like listened to Lauryn Hill like you, like, and then you end up with this Cambodian and white boo. How does that happen? Like what happened to make you go, okay, this could work?
I mean, honestly, I'm a Capricorn. I feel like I'm very in tune. It's a gift. I'm very serious about this. And I think I've always just been an in-tune person. I'm a spirit person, I really can tell when people have like a good heart, their energy, and it bothers my friends because they would like meet someone and I'll be like, they're not a good person. And they're like, yes, they are. And I'm like, okay. 5 years later, told you they weren't a good person. So I feel like I'm really good at reading people. So when I met Chea, his name is Brian, but no one calls him that. Except like me and his mom. So people were like, is his name Chea? I'm like, no, he grew up in like a small white town in Ohio where they call everyone by their last name because of sports, So like all his friends, they call each other by their last name, not their first name. I don't even know his friends' first names, half of them. So Chea and I were friends because he met one of my best friends in college, and my best friend was in a rap group. And he started working with him and was like, really believed in them because they're really dope. And he was like, I want to help manage you guys. So he started managing them. And this story is very ghetto. And my ex-boyfriend was in the group.
Hey, you don't want to hear my story.
This story is so ghetto. And my ex-boyfriend was in the group, y'all. And so we were friends for 4 years. He had a girlfriend. I had a boyfriend. And then my ex broke up with me, and he was single. Chea was single for like 2 years before this. And then my ex broke up with me, and my sister passed away. So I moved to New York because I was just like trying to heal. And I was a ballet dancer. And like literally the last conversation me and my sister had before she died was like, I really want you to follow your dreams and do the things that mean something to you. Like you need to move and go, like stop saying you're going to do stuff and you don't do it. You're such a procrastinator. So when she passed, I was like, I have to honor her. Like she's right. So I moved to New York. And Chea was just a good friend. Like he came to my sister's funeral because at this point we had been friends for 4 years. We worked together at a call center. We sat next to each other and we were really just friends, like had a great friendship. And so he came to my sister's funeral. He helped me move out of my apartment after my ex left and didn't help me move out.
He wasn't good for y'all.
No, he wasn't good for a move out, honey. Just to move in. Like the second time that he did it. We're cool now though, it's fine. We're all cool now, but we weren't for a while. But anyway, I moved to New York, and then he came to visit me, and I feel like he liked me, but I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I kept coming back and forth to Columbus because my sister had just passed away and I was worried about my mom. So I literally would like come home like every weekend, this 9-hour drive.
Wow.
Yeah, and just to make sure my mom was good and see her because my both of my brothers were like, girl, you just need your daughters. And so he gave me a hug one day and it just lingered a little too long. And I was like, I'm really have issues. So I went back to New York, and my friend who lived there, she was coming back to Ohio too to visit. So I wasn't coming. I was like, give him a hug because her little brother was in the group. I was like, give him a hug and see if he hugs you like he hugs. Maybe he just hugs everybody like that. I don't know. So,
not that you sent a whole recon, like,
yeah,
hugging too long.
Because he grazed my back, like, with his hand. I was like, that's not friendly. So I was scared though. I was like, I didn't want him to like me because I don't know. I didn't want to be with him because he wasn't Black. And because it was just a little messy, like, I wasn't talking to my ex anymore. My ex wasn't in the group anymore that he was managing. Like he had left the group. No one was talking to him anyway. So it wasn't like, like we just came in but still I just didn't want to deal with it. Like I was with one person for 9 years and I just felt like it was just going to be, drama. And it ended up being drama, but either way, like he gave her a hug and it didn't last as long. So
you knew.
I knew then. And then after that, we just started dating long distance. Like he would come to New York, I would come back to Columbus, back and forth. Then I got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
girl, that sounds like my story.
Yeah.
And then it halfway sounds like mine, because I always tell, when people ask like, oh, what's your story? How'd you get married? Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, we started out as friends. And it was similar.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, we would just talk. He knew people I talked to. I knew people he talked to. We would go out, whatever. It was just friendly. And then like the helping of the moving and just staying connected and venting to him and being there during hard times. It really translates to marriage, because not all times are great. Not all times are lovey. We're not all up in each other's faces every second of the day, you know, but we have that friendship to like fall back onto. Yeah. So I'm always like, do you guys have any friends? Like, is there any friends around that you like aren't looking at like that way, you know?
Right.
Like,
that's
you
what
can
I
say.
But listen, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Like, we definitely we were always friends. We had a good friendship. It was why I felt comfortable with, but you know, just sticking and moving.
Right.
But then when I ended up pregnant, it really was like, we were 23 at the time. So you were super young, and we just were like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And we waited 7 years to get married because I wanted to really make sure that we really were together because we wanted to be together, not because we had a child together, you know? So I really didn't mind waiting to get married. I wanted to be older and to be sure that, because I only wanted to get married once. You know, both of us come from a divorced household, and neither one of our parents are obviously with the person that they had their first child with. So I just was like really scared about that, but it worked out. I'm glad I waited. I really am, because I feel like I was mature enough to become a wife and understand what that really meant, you know?
Right. I feel
that.
Yeah.
So once you guys got together though, what was that like, as far as, because this was your first interracial relationship?
Mm-hmm.
So what was that? What were some of the challenges, I guess, that you guys had, like being from two different backgrounds?
Girl, I mean,
well, he was managing a rap group.
I know, but no, those were the first Black people that he was ever friends with, which is crazy. So this is the thing. Chea is a learner and an adapter, which is why I absolutely love him. He's not stapled to anything. He's about the truth. And once he sees the light, he is in the light, and he is never going back out the light. So that's one of the things that attracted me to him. We both were very open with one another. I'm a very honest person. So I was just like, listen, if we're going to date, I'm very Black, and I love being Black, and I love my Blackness. And if I'm going to talk about white people at home, and if that bothers you, then we can't be together. Because when I get back from work and one of these people are being racist, and if I'm like, I can't stand white people, I need you to understand that I'm talking about racist white people, not the whole white race. And like, I don't even want to have to explain that to you. You know what I'm saying? So like, you don't have to get on board or go be with some other Black girl, because I'm like a real Black girl.
I
love you.
Like, but I told him that, because my friends were very outspoken. We were all raised by very militant Black parents. Mm-hmm. So even for him to just go from living in this white town with no Black people to being around us was like, if these are the first Black people you are meeting, this is a real introduction into Blackness. Because like, we were celebrating Kwanzaa and Juneteenth since I was a little kid. Like, so this is serious to me, you know, like my culture and my community. And even when we moved out of our house to rent it, because he purchased this home with his white best friend in a historically Black neighborhood, they were going to flip it. And I was like, well, you're being a gentrifier. Like, that's literally what that is. And I said, so we're going to only rent to Black people because this is a Black neighborhood. And you could be a part of the problem by even doing that. So just helping him to understand, like, you know, I realize how a lot of white people don't even see stuff. They're just living in their own world. Do you know what I mean? And like, they don't recognize I always say this, that all white people are inherently racist because our country was born off of racism. However, some people are intentionally racist and others are just inherently racist, where you unlearn that behavior. So with my husband, he had some inherited like mindsets that I had to help him understand, like, that is racist. Like, I don't care if your grandma told you that, you've always been doing this your whole life. Like, that is problematic behavior. It's racist as hell. And you can't do that. And like, he will see something and be like, yo, you're right. Like, I never I just don't, they don't think everything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
It's so sad. Like, that's why I try to have grace sometimes. But then when people are like not willing to acknowledge things and change, that's when I'm like, I'm not going to have this conversation with you. But his Asian family wasn't happy about us being together. I wasn't even allowed at their house.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just, it was a long journey. I mean, me and his stepmom just started speaking to each other 2 years ago. We've been together for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, she just, wasn't with it. And his white family was always nice to me, but then when Trump ran for office, I realized that, okay, y'all like fake care about me because they all voted for him and they don't care, and they told me. And so then I had to like stop talking to all of them, which sucks because I never even had any surface issues with any of them. Like, they were always welcoming into their home, super loving to me. But then just knowing like you have Black grandchildren and you have a Black daughter-in-law, and you're still going to vote for someone that is creating policies that are problematic to my community, is such a disconnect for them. You know what I mean?
Right. That was going to be my next question, because you have grandparents of each race, right? Each grandparent is a different race. So how do you explain that to your children? Like, when you're going through these different things with their grandparents or what, so, how do you explain race to your children?
So, like, I mean, you said, do it racism or race in general?
I mean, just like with the issues, like, you know, that you're having about their heritage, for white people, I think it's hard because this is a part of their heritage, right? And they have to accept that, they have to own it, just like we have to own things that were done to us, but they were the doers. So like, how do you break that down? Because they are family, right?
So I don't mince words when it comes to my 11-year-old. I talk to her the same way my mom talked to me, and I want her to understand the difference between, like I said, someone inherently being racist and someone being intentionally racist, right? And so understanding that this world was not created for us to thrive in, and all of these policies, and like, the world is working the way it's supposed to. That's why people are like, oh, the justice system. I'm like, this is what does that incarcerate Black people?
13th Amendment.
That's the point. Right, like it's working exactly the way we need to disrupt the way it's been working and create something different. So I talked to my daughter about that, but I really tried not to discuss things with her grandparents with her, because I want her to have a relationship with them on her own. But she's getting older now, where it's like, if I don't go over there, because she asked me the other day, like, you don't go with us to go see mama anymore, and I just had to tell the truth. I was like, listen, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to go over there because they, voted for Trump. And I feel like, they're not open to understanding why that's problematic. And it makes me uncomfortable. I'm not about to sit and have dinner with you knowing good and well that you, like, I don't care what you say. You can't say that you love me or my grandchildren. They're Black. Like, it's not like we're not special Black people. Like, you have to have a general concern for all human beings. And she was really sad, and she was more hurt, like, that she did, like, was really disappointed that that's who they're voting for, but she's older now. Like, that's just, she's gonna make those choices on her own. I never, put her in between it before, but it's like, if I'm not coming with her, I always will go. She's not dumb. She's like, why aren't you coming? I'm not gonna lie to my daughter. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you guys celebrate the different holidays? Like you said, you celebrate Juneteenth and Kwanzaa. What are the other holidays that?
So we do like the Cambodian New Year. I really think it's important for my daughter to celebrate all sides of her. I always took her to the temple when we lived here to learn like their traditional dancing. We always go to the temple whenever we come, because his dad is like really heavily into the temple. He helped build the temple here, one of the temples here. So we always take them, and just so they feel really comfortable with their culture and all parts of them. I think it's really beautiful. I mean, my husband is a first generation American. So like, his dad came here when his dad was like 25 from Cambodia. So, he's very Cambodian. It's not like a real.
I feel you, I know that's so funny. No, I'm laughing because that's like my family too. My mom, same thing with my mom. She came from Korea, probably about 25, and she's still very Korean, but she is like, it's weird. She's very Korean. Like, she eats Korean food, but she'll make a whole like good plate of like baked macaroni and cheese right next to the rice and cheese. This is awesome.
Your mom is Korean and your dad is Black?
Yeah.
So your mom didn't care who you ended up with, or did she want you to be with someone Korean?
No. She didn't care. She was just like, as long as they love you. Because I mean, that's how her family was with her, which is rare. Because in Asian cultures, they really want you to be with your kind.
Yeah, they do, girl.
If you veer off, then they might be okay with you being with a different type of Asian, but like, or white. They do like when.
Yes.
They like white, but Black, no. You don't go darker. You go lighter in Asian culture.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, you know, there's a lot of racism within the Asian culture, and even it's really colorism more than anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even within their own, you know, because I remember when my daughter was little, and like her grandfather would be like, "Don't braid her hair," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, she looked real Asian when she was little. He's like, "Well, don't put those braids and stuff in her hair," and he would be like, "Well, cover her up." So, and then they used to tell me like, "Oh, you're so lucky. She's this perfect color. She's not too dark," and I would be like,
right.
Oh my God.
And this for them is like, they don't realize what they're saying, because that is completely okay where they're from. Like, people literally will wear a whole fit in the summertime because
they don't want to get dark.
Yeah, because the darker people are considered like they're working in the fields. And the lighter you are, the more money you have. So you're not outside all day. So it's like a social, economic, it's all intertwined. It's a mindset people have to like unlearn.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you got a lot to do, because you got Asian, you got white, you got like.
I'm not doing shit anymore, okay? I'm just gonna live my life.
Y'all, Kwanzaa's coming up. What y'all want to do?
I'm just gonna be their Black mom. I'm gonna let my husband be their Asian and white dad. I don't know what white things he could teach them at this point, because ain't nothing good.
Look, I was listening to this whole Black Panther. Whatever. I'll put it in the link if y'all want it. Okay. But it was this whole thing about Santa Claus.
Oh God!
Oh my God! I recorded it. I was like, should I post this?
I'll post it.
I'll send it to you. It was this whole thing, and I was like, "You guys see? Just open your eyes."
Well, that's why I was never allowed to do the Santa thing. My mom was like, "Do you see how problematic that is? You want me to make you believe that some white man?"
This is exactly what it talks about, right?
Right. It's like, yes, it's just like, that's crazy.
It's like, why would you, they said, why would you, all your hard work, waking up every day, feeding the supply for your family, you know, to make your kids happy. And then you underline it saying that this white man gave it to you. So only white men could give you this happiness. Like, why would you take that away from you as a parent? That you worked hard for this gift.
Listen, I never believed in Santa.
Neither did I.
It's one of my favorite holidays. I started listening to Mariah Carey's Christmas album in June. And and the people think that you don't have to believe in Santa. I love Christmas movies. I watch all those little corny ass Hallmark movies. They're my favorite.
The Black ones.
Yes, girl. Oh, I'm so excited they have Black ones now, because, you know, back in the day,
we just had the white ones.
Like, that's on my list of things to do, is to make a Black Christmas Hallmark movie. Like, really a life goal.
Oh, that's good.
I was rolling like, yes. Kelly Rowland opened the window for us. Like, okay, yes. Lifetime Hallmark movies, but. No, I still love it, and it's because my mom just made beautiful memories with me. Like, you don't need this phantom white man to save you to have like a good childhood.
Right. I'll send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you.
Oh, that's so funny. And it's funny because I have my sister-in-law is white. Like, she's like white. Like, I'm sure her family all voted for Trump, but she's down for the cause. Like, she's like, we gotta go protest. And she's down for the cause. But I think there's still some things, because she's white. So inherently there's been some things that as white people, they don't realize is racist. And so, you know, I think she gave, I don't know who gave, somebody in her family gave Mav like a present, and it was like from Santa. And I was just like, so we don't really celebrate Santa. Like, he's not real. So Mav is going to be that kid at school that tells other kids that Santa's not real. That was what my dad did with me. And I'm going to do the same. My son, right. I'm going to do the same with my son, because I cannot have him believing this lie. And any pictures that we take will be with Black Santa. If we take them, or he just don't get no picture with Santa that year, okay? Because we're not going to do a white man.
I used to set traps as a kid. I used to set traps.
Oh, you like, okay.
Basically, if this man is real, you can ask my mother this. You can ask. I always used to get whoopings because I would ruin Christmas for everybody else. Because I would try to set the traps. I would go put additional cookies over here, see if he would eat them. Like, if he's gonna come down this chimney, he's gonna break this. Like
Uh-uh.
it was, and I would wake up in the morning like, no, that didn't happen. This didn't happen.
That's why you got beat so many times. Okay, so your mama whooped you out here trying to trap in. Ashley, let me ask you about so you homeschool your daughters, and I'm assuming you're gonna homeschool all three of them, right?
Yeah.
So what made you come to that conclusion of homeschooling, and then what are some of the challenges with it?
Well, I was homeschooled until I went to 9th grade.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So that's why I loved it. And I feel like when I went to high school, because I was with my mom and I had like my values were so strong and I didn't have all that like peer pressure and influence from other people, that by the time I went to high school, I was like, yeah, I got this. You know what I mean? Like I felt really confident as a girl. And so I really loved that. And plus I was more advanced and my daughter is super smart and she's advanced. And so I can challenge her in other ways. And I really just don't like the school system. I don't trust white people to educate my child, and I don't like the school books. I just think it's all bullshit. Like unless you can find like a really amazing school that's really pushing back and doing something different. I don't like how they put so many kids in one class with one teacher. I don't like how they try to make all the kids learn the same way, and they're always labeling Black kids as bad or they swear that they all have behavioral problems and will try to give them Ritalin. And most of the time it's because our kids are smart and they're bored in that classroom. So, you know, I just don't like any of that. And I know that it's a privilege, but my mom lived in the hood and she homeschooled us. She didn't have a spouse. Like my dad and her did not live together and he wasn't like, you know, paying our bills. So she just created like this little small community at school, but we didn't have a lot growing up because she made that choice. But it was like either I work a regular job and send you to these dangerous, unhealthy schools, or I homeschool you and we're just not going to have as much financially. So she used to be a paramedic and that's just the choice she made. And I'm grateful for it. So that's what I wanted to do for my daughter. I would say the biggest challenges are just the social aspect. Before we moved to Cali, she was being homeschooled with other kids. So it was essentially like she was in school, and it was like 6 of them, which was very beautiful, amazing. They were all the same age, and it was like the perfect amount. And when we went to California, I didn't have that community. And so I've just been trying to find that community, people with children my daughter's age to homeschool like together so she can have more social, because it is really important for them to have that.
Yeah, you know what? Like I wasn't homeschooled. I went to public school and private school for like a couple years, but mostly public school my whole life. But when I think about like educating my son, I am not opposed to homeschooling. Because one thing I've noticed about homeschool kids, they are very independent. They are very like mature. I have yet to meet a homeschool kid who did not like they're just little adults because they have to learn how to.
Some of them are weird now, child, because everybody.
Oh yeah.
Everybody who's homeschooling ain't right in the head either.
Which is funny because I grew up next to some kids who like all 6 of them were homeschooled, and I just was like, oh, y'all are a little weird, but I get it. Like, but they were very mature. Like they took care of stuff, and I'm sitting here like I'm the same age as the girl that's homeschooled next door, and she like was doing all this stuff. Like I just was like, oh, I'm over here.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like you got to
so
realize.
Are you actually teaching, or is there a teacher that comes in?
Oh, I teach them.
You teach them?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, it froze. Yeah.
Okay, no, I teach her. There's different curriculums you can use in California. You have to let the government know that it's different. In Ohio, you don't have to do anything. You just homeschool your kid. But in California, you have to actually like notify them to let them know that you're homeschooling your child. But then there's like tons of programs that give you money. They will give you computers, or even if they don't give you money, they just give you all the material, like all the school books, and they give you a curriculum that you can follow, and then you can follow it exactly, or you can kind of just do your own thing. The program we use now is with Golden Valley. It's a charter school. So basically they assign you a teacher, but her job is to just she comes to me and we set up a curriculum. Okay. And then every month she checks to make sure that Amira is actually doing work. And then she doesn't teach her at all. She's just really more like a checkpoint to make sure, like, do I have any questions? Making sure I have all the tools I need for Amira. If she needs any extra books, or, you know, if she's exceeding or if she's falling behind. Really cool.
I think this is really interesting because I was thinking the other day, I'm like, why am I home? Like, why haven't I gone back to work? Why haven't I really picked up anything? I've kind of been letting my husband be the more of the provider, the leader. I haven't given my 2 cents really like I normally do. And I thought about the homeschooling because all the kids now, they're suffering from not being in school. They're having all these issues, and then they have to go back to school. And what are they going to do? Wear a mask? So I've been meeting so many people who homeschool their kids. So I had this little, flash. I don't know if it's my future or what. It's like, am I going to be a homeschool mom? Because this is where, not only because of the pandemic, right? To where it's like, because if anything, we would private school because their dad is a private school kid. And that's what we've always talked about. But now that all this is happening, it's like, do we cluster up our kids and start teaching them together in the neighborhood,
I was going to say, when I was going to say, this is something I think that, especially as Black parents, we need to think about, because when I lived in Texas, in Dallas, they had homeschooling co-ops. So like you were a part, and you had to be a part of one if you were homeschooling your kids in that way. And so like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the kids would have to go somewhere, like either a house or something, like whatever parent's turn it was. And it was like, oh, okay, today's the geography lesson at my house, and all the kids come there. So they were still being socialized, but they just were doing it in a homeschool setting. And then they had like sports leagues that were just for the homeschool kids.
Well, that's
fascinating.
That's how I grew up. That's how my mom, it was like her and like 4 other friends. And it was like that. Like, and we wore uniforms. Like, they were serious. We had the Target uniform before Target. We had wore khakis and a red polo. I feel triggered every time I walk into Target. Like, oh my God. I don't even like the color red just because of that. But yeah, they had red polo and khakis, and they did like co-op. Like, they would take turns. And then, what's cool is most schools will let your kid play. Like, if you tell them that you're homeschooling and then this is your homeschool, they can still play the sport at their homeschool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why you have to notify the government to let them know, so that your kid can have these opportunities to be in different programs and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something we should all be thinking about, just with everything that's going on in the world, and making sure our kids are safe and protected, and like you said, educated properly. Because we think about what we were taught, or not you were homeschooled, but I think about what I was taught.
Yeah.
I went to public school in 9th grade, and me and my history teacher were always arguing because I was like, hey, how'd that happen?
Failing the test.
I love that. Because I feel like kids just accept what adults tell them.
Of course.
From a school, and they're just like, oh, I have to listen to what my teacher says, instead of being aware and learning. And a lot of parents will say like, oh, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to be teaching my kids. Somebody else can teach them. But like, I think we do them a disservice because everyone that's teaching our kids, technically, like, they might be qualified on paper, but they're really not qualified to teach them the stuff that they really need to know for life.
Yeah. I mean, and some of these teachers, they don't know they're just repeating what they were taught. Like, they didn't even take the time to unlearn or learn the truth about what they're regurgitating. You know what I mean? That's why I'm always like, somebody being good at school and someone being intelligent are 2 different things. Like, a lot of people can memorize what they're taught and pass a test. That don't mean you know anything. Yeah. That's why I don't like when people throw their degrees around in people's faces. I'm like, okay, so you went to class and you passed the test.
Right. I have so many questions. I have so many questions about this, but I'm just gonna have to call you. Talk to us about Moms in Color. What is it? How did you become a co-founder?
So my friend Brandy, why am I gonna say Brandy? Jackson. I have like 8 friends named with the last. Brandy. Oh my God, what's happening to my brain?
It's okay.
Sorry, I have like 5 friends with the name Brandy, so I always get confused with Brandy. Yes, her name is B Stereo on Instagram. We all were like at these events as Black influencers. We kept going like, oh hey girl, and then after a while we're like, they just keep inviting us because we're like the token Black girls at all these events. It was super whack. Like, so we were like, we're just gonna start doing our own thing. So one day, I'll never forget, Brandy hit me up and she was like, let's just do our own thing. I was like, yes, like, I think that's so organization. And my homegirl Kelly, and then I knew Candace. She works for Essence, and so I was just like, we definitely have to have her be a part of it. She lives in New York, but it was like, it just worked perfectly, and we all came together and we created this organization, and we started hosting like events specifically for women of color, moms, that pertain to things that were happening in our community. We will host panels about the Black maternal health care issue and just think breastfeeding and just like partner with brands and expose them. Like there are tons of Black moms in the world who want to know about these products and want to know about what's going on and want access to this stuff. So it's been really amazing for the past like 3.5 years. We've done we've had these huge conferences every year. We'll have mommy meetups, and we're actually having our virtual conference July 19th. The tickets are only $10. Yeah, because we can't, obviously have our physical one this year. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm dope, and it's super important. And I think it's really great that it's 5 of us working together, Black women, and creating something for other Black women,
Right. I think one of our guests, Janae, invited us, but it was sold out and she couldn't get us in. Do you remember that, Megan?
Oh, to one of our events before?
Yeah. Janae.
They sell out. Our physical, in-person events, they sell out super fast. And like, that was our goal this year, was to have it at a venue where we could like have more people. But then, but that's the good thing about the virtual one, because now everybody can come.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Now we can finally get in, right, Marisa? We can make it this time. All right. So I know you talked about having the Beautiful Me book, but what is the whole Beautiful Me campaign about that you created?
So after I created the book, one of my ways, because I self-published it, and I was just like, what is it, like a grassroots way that I could really get the book out there, right? And initially, I just wanted more kids to have access to the book, especially white children. So I started reaching out to the white suburbs in my area, like, hey, I have this book about diversity, and I want to do a workshop. So I created an entire workshop for children around the book that really highlights like differences and how to work together and loving yourself. And then I was seeing the response from the little kids. So then I started going into middle schools, and then it's a children's book. So I was like, well, I don't really need to take the book in there for middle school and high school, but I created a workshop and a program that's basically the same thing around diversity, self-love, and a lot of issues that like young girls face. And so I really, in the elementary schools, it's diverse, but when I go to middle schools and high schools, it's usually just girls, because it's just something I'm really passionate about. I have 3 sisters, or 4, I'm sorry, 2 older, 2 younger. And I'm a girl mom, and I've always just been passionate about women and like making sure that we feel loved and seen and have self-worth and self-esteem. And so that's what my focus is, like majorly, when I go into the middle schools and high schools. But like, I love it. I love talking to kids, and I love working with the youth, because I feel like, I don't know, it gets you inspired, and it makes you feel like the world might be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to.
No, that's wonderful. I love that. Like when I went to the Beautiful Me page that you have on Instagram, just seeing it, it's so uplifting. It's so like refreshing to see, because I feel like in this day and age, it's so easy to be like, oh, you're a Black woman, like, hooray, you're strong. But it's like, there's so many facets of things that we deal with. And so I'm grateful that you came up with the Beautiful Me campaign.
Thank you. And also something that's really important to me too is that I feel like everything that I support as a Black woman is usually for Black women. But everything that I create has to be inclusive, because my daughters are not existing in this world the same way that I do. And I think it's beautiful when someone is half Black in something and says they're Black. Why? Because Black people are going to be the people that accept you. But I also don't like how in the Black community we force people to just say they're Black. And I feel like it negates the other parent in their culture. Yeah. And if my husband was going around and be like, my Asian daughter's this, my Asian daughter's that would really hurt my feelings. Like, well, first of all, they came out of this Black. Right. Well, it's pink, but you know what I'm saying. Like, these stretch marks on this Black stomach, not that Asian stomach. And so I think, when I really thought, one of my friends is half Black and half white. And I remember when we first met, it was like 20 years ago. And she was like, she kept being so adamant that she was just as much white as she was Black. And, me growing up militant and Black, I was like, what are you? That sounds so stupid. Like, stop saying that. You're Black. And it would really irritate me. I don't know why, but I really did the work to figure out why. Like, why do we feel like that as Black people? Why do we feel so like this knee-jerk reaction to be mad that someone is celebrating another part of them? And it's because we've been taught so much that being Black is a negative that we feel so protective of that. So, we have to deal with our own issues, but one thing my grandmother was like, I don't care you say you're Black, but like, I'm not Black. You know what I mean? And so don't just negate me and my culture and everything that I am. And so I think it's just really important that it's okay for people. America's the only place that does that. In every country, mixed race people is a thing. Like, and it's celebrated, and people actually know their culture, know what they are, and they say it with pride. And so I know why we are the way we are as Black people in America, and it's a direct result of slavery. And I think being Black is beautiful, and anyone that has Black in them that wants to say they're Black should say that they're Black. But also, we shouldn't be so offended when people celebrate the other sides of them. And I don't want my daughters to be ashamed that they're half Cambodian, half white. Like, they can be proud of that, and I want them to feel comfortable with that. And I think that's why I really pay attention to what I can make sure is inclusive for all children and not just Black children, because that's not how my children are existing in this world.
You know, I'm glad you said that. Because that's one of the things I've told this story before, but like growing up, my mom always she told me I was Black, and I was so confused because she gave me that conversation at 5. You know, my father, of course, was like, "You're Black."
Yeah.
But my mom, the fact that she was Korean, I was like, "Yeah, you're Black," and I was like, how does that work, Mom? Because you're Korean, so I'm not just Black. But what she was trying to get me to understand was that we live in a country that is going to see you as Black. When you walk into a school, you walk to work, wherever you go, no one's going to look at you and say, "Oh, look at this little Asian girl. Look at this little Korean girl." They're going to, girl, this hair don't come on Asian. So
yes, it does. My husband's hair looks just like your hair.
I know, but your husband is mixed.
But he gets his curly hair from his Cambodian family.
Girl, well, the Cambodians got curly hair. You know, the Koreans' hair be like this. Yeah,
you're right. But either way, when I looked at you, I said, this girl's Asian, and I was really waiting for you to tell me the truth.
Oh my gosh. So,
really?
So my eyes, like I get a lot of people can tell from the eyes, but like, you know, other than that, when I go, and only people that are Black can tell I'm mixed. That's the crazy part. White people always will think that I'm white, and Asian people will definitely, white people think that I'm Black, and then Asian people think I'm Black.
Yes.
Only Black people can be like, "Oh, she's mixed. She's got something else in her."
Yeah, that's true.
So because my mom understood that, she had to make me very aware of how other people perceived me. And I've had friends of different races who they're like, you know, I don't want my child to just think they're Black. You know, I want them to acknowledge the other sides of them, which they should. But you also have to prepare your child for how the world sees them, because I have friends whose mom, you know, I like one of my best friends, she's Korean and Black as well. Her mom was the opposite. Her mom was like, I don't like your Black dad. We don't really talk to Black people like that. Like, Black is bad. So she grew up with a weirdness around Black people because she didn't know how to accept it. And then when she moved to Korea for a year, she thought she was super Korean. She moved to Korea and she was just like, oh, they really treat me like I'm Black out here. So now she came back with a whole renewed sense of Blackness that she never got, because her mom never prepared her for how people would view her.
Yes. And I do tell my daughter that. But also, so I exist in this world differently than you do, than Marisa does. And I'm a dark-skinned Black girl, and I have very curly hair. Like, listen, when I was living in Columbus, Ohio, no one ever asked me if I was mixed with anything, ever. When I went to New York, everybody's like, "Are you Dominican? Are you Puerto Rican?" Like, because they see the variance of Black women, and they know how different we look and how, like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so for me, I love being a Black woman, and I always say that, but equally, I have different, I've had different experiences being dark skinned that my daughter is not going to have. And so I try to teach her too about her privilege and understanding, like, being mindful of the things she says around other dark skinned or Black girls, and just being cognizant of that as well. And also I give her that talk too, like, listen, in this world, you can walk out the door, people don't think whatever they think you are. So if you look Mexican at that, they don't think you're Mexican. If you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, child, like, whatever people think you are is how they're going to treat you. And that is the real problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And what you said about kind of like, well, it's actually good that you celebrate everything with your children, because with us, we were around our Mexican side as young kids, but then I want to say after maybe 5, I was only with my Black side. I've only been raised, I'm closest with my Black grandma, like all my cousins, like my dad's side of the family is what I grew up in. So although like I had, basically. She's Mexican mixed with some other stuff, but for the most part. However, you know, I had those times where the Black girls didn't like me because my hair looked a certain way. But then when I got to high school, like you said, Black people are the ones that would accept you. So I had this whole family, like my whole life, I'm around Black people. I go to school, it's like questionable, like, what are you? And then it's this acceptance stage of like, oh, you are one of us. So that's all I know.
Yeah.
Do I think now that I have kids, it's like, oh, I should reach out more to that side, but I don't know them. I'm not close with them. Like I don't know anything. Right?
I think it's worth exploring because I think the thing is that being Black is beautiful, and being Black means something different to every single Black person. We all have we are not a monolithic group of people. And there is not one way that Black people look, because you two are both biracial. I didn't even know. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I knew that she definitely has some Asian in her, but I'm like, it could have been a great aunt, uncle, I don't know. You know what I mean? Grandma. I didn't know it was like directly mom. But the thing is when you go to Africa, African people, like Asian features come from Africa. Do you know what I mean? Like there are tons of African people that have, slanted eyes, and there's tons of African women with hair down their back that have pointier noses or wavier soft hair. Like African people don't look just one way. And it's not because other countries have come and mixed there. It's like they already started off with this variance of look based on area. So, I think is understanding and having that knowledge that just because someone looks a specific way doesn't necessarily mean they're mixed with something. Because I have friends who have 2 Black parents, and then people asking them if they're mixed all the time. Like, nigga, no, like, listen, I am Black. I'm sorry that you have
right.
You know what I mean? Can you hear me?
Yeah. It was frozen. We got you back.
Okay. But yeah, so anyway, I think it's just important for that. And that's why I just tell my daughter to be proud of whom she is, and being proud of her Blackness, her Asianness, her whiteness, and just being aware that people are going to treat you how they perceive you. And yes, this is an issue, but as long as you're aware of that and you know how to maneuver through that, then that's all that matters. And
that's good. That's good. And honestly, that's what I tell my friends with mixed kids. I was like, the best thing you can do is help them to maneuver so they understand how people perceive them and how they should move within that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's a great lesson. So tell us about, what do you have coming up next for you? You're an author, you're a founder, you're a mama, what you got going on next?
So I'm actually, I have those 2 books coming out. So the second,
okay, yeah, there you go.
Sorry, am I good?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, sorry. It froze again.
Wait. Can you see us? Can you hear us?
I can. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. Sorry. No, so I have my second children's book coming out. It's called Beautiful Family, which is like the second part of Beautiful, Beautiful Me. Right. And it celebrates like all different types of families. I'm really excited about that one. And then the journal that I was talking about that I'm coming out with for parents is called the Forever Journal. It's a prompted journal for us to pass along to our children. So like it has all these dope questions in it. And I was inspired because my nephew would just ask me questions about my sister. And I was like, damn, man, I wish she was alive to tell him herself. And then I was like, shit, I got to create something so that we can do that. Because, we have those books like My Baby's First Year.
Yes. Yeah.
But I was like, we need something for parents to leave for our kids. And it's in our words of our experiences and not someone else having to tell them. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. And then I'm pitching a TV show.
Yay.
Good, girl, you are like, when do you have time for this?
Right. I don't. That's why like all this stuff is happening, but ain't nothing happening. No.
It's happening.
That's dope. I cannot wait to see what you come out with. I'll be watching.
And your girls are really lucky to have you. I wanted to say I watched an interview you did the other day, and your daughter was reading your book.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, for her to just read her mother's book, that like touched my soul. It was so beautiful.
I feel blessed to be their mom. I really do. I feel like, I always joke. I'm like, I think God made a mistake when he took my sister. He wasn't paying attention that day or something. She wasn't supposed to die. But I got blessed with these beautiful daughters, and I feel like he made it up to me. So we're good now, because I was mad at him for a little bit. I was like,
I'm about to cry, y'all.
He was not paying attention that day. But I think that I just feel so blessed to be their mom. I really do. I feel like it's a gift to me to be able to raise them and know that like they're going into the world and I don't know. I feel blessed. Like, I feel like it's more of a gift to me to be their mom than the other way around, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm.
So where can we find you on social media? And what does your social media mean, the name?
Yeah.
So Watermelon Egg Rolls is funny. I was trying to come up with a name for my blog. And I was like, what do people, you know, like, what's a stereotype? And then I was like, people always saying Black people eat watermelon, they think of egg rolls for Asian people. So I wanted to have something that was like a stereotypical name, but then when you go to the blog, you're like, oh, and then I'm showing you like beyond the stereotype, like these, just our family and how beautiful it is to be a Black woman and be a mom and just raising your children and seeing my husband and the variance in him and what you think you know about an Asian man, and like, it's not like at all. So it's really like a little tongue in cheek, because I don't even like watermelon. So there's that. I actually hate it. Disgusting. Really? Yeah, I hate watermelon.
My baby eats it with ketchup. I don't know where she got it from.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
That's
awful.
extra Black.
It is awful. It's awful. But before we get out of here, guys, we always want to leave you with some inspiration for you to remember that you are fine. Well, actually, this segment is called I'm Fine. Just not physically, but mentally and spiritually. Megan, you have one today?
Yes, I have a quote that goes with what we've been talking about today. It says, "Love knows no race. Interracial couples are a symbol of beauty." And the author of that is unknown. But I like to say that because, you know, one of the things, like even just being a product of an interracial relationship, and like hearing Ashley, you talk about your interracial relationship children, like the one thing that I love about this is that you have family that is white, you have family that is Black, you have family that is Latino, you have family that is Asian, and all of these things that we've inherently brought with us about what we think about other people, you now have to face it when you have children of a different race. And so now all of, you know, I don't know if there's any other way for some people to fix the inherent racism or things that they've grown up with, except for to have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews that aren't like them. You know what I mean? Like it starts to heal. It starts to heal places. It may take time, but I think that's the beauty of it, is because now it's like, okay, we're forced to learn differences. Like I'm sure your husband has learned new things about Black people that he didn't even think, like you said, he didn't even think was an issue. And that's where it starts. You know, it starts with that. And I feel like that's been some healing within my family as well, because my uncles didn't initially like my father. For my mother, now they love us, and like they love us. Okay, they love Black mixed family. And so it's just like, I think that's interracial relationships allow the healing for, you know, racial separation that's happened for centuries in some cases, right? So that is the quote for the day, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay.
It was good.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for taking a break with us. Ashley, thank you for blessing us with your time. I don't even know how you had the time to come on here and talk to us.
My husband, he's a good dad.
You got a good man.
Oh, good dads.
Good dad. Shout out to the good dads. But thank you for taking a break with us, you guys. We're going to have a lot of great mommy and daddy guests coming up. So make sure you continue to watch or listen to our podcast. And make sure you follow our guest, Ashley Chea, at Watermelon Egg Rolls, which I love both, by the way. I fit both stereotypes and I love them both. I'm Megan Thomas at Meg Scoop everywhere.
And I'm Marisa Johnson at She is Marisa J. And remember to follow our podcast on all platforms at MNAB Podcasts all over the internet. And make sure to subscribe to our Patreon at mnabpodcast.com.
And yes, Ashley, any parting words of advice or words of wisdom to our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, I would say that just be true to who you are and be comfortable and understand that sometimes everyone doesn't always see your vision, whether it's for your family, your career, or your sense of peace. And so just be comfortable knowing that the people that are around you, the people who are supposed to be around you, will be around you when you're doing what you are supposed to be doing. So always do what is true to your heart and you will find your people. Sometimes they're not always related to you, and that's okay. So just be comfortable in understanding and knowing that.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time right here on Mommy Needs a Break. Bye.